Hey everybody, we're here for another Regulator podcast. How are you doing today, my good friend Rocker?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine.
That's pretty good.
Can't really
That's
complain
pretty
too
good.
much.
So, we're going to take you through one heck of a ride today. Um, Through Rocker, who he is, how I met him, his interesting little fandom that he's a part of that I have no idea really what they are. I kind of have a grasp or a concept, um, but I really don't still. It's funny because Iz actually asked me today. He was like, "Aren't you a furry, Bolt?" And I was like, "No, I literally just discovered like what you guys are. Like you guys kind of came out of nowhere." Because I was living in this nice little world. Everything relates back to Arma, by the way. So if you guys today are like, this darn Arma community strikes again. This is another story for you. It won't be very Arma heavy, but it'll still be, the roots of it will be there. And it's lived in harmony. It was everything was calm, and by calm I mean
And
everyone still
yeah.
hated each other. But then it was like Attila the Hun or Husky. We'll compare him to Attila the Hun, and as all a group of furries and fandoms and everybody, they just showed up, and there they were, just they were everywhere. You
It
had
was
the
all
Roman
it was all
Empire,
peace and harmony.
yeah, the Roman Empire's falling down, burning down. They're all taken over. Um, uh, but no, you guys are good people. I've never had problems with you. I know some people are very vocal, but yeah, I still barely know what you guys are. I know there's like I wouldn't say it's anything different really from
Yeah.
I try to be very open minded to a lot of things, but I wouldn't say it's very different too much from me dressing up and being like, "Yo, Spider Man," at like Comic Con or anything like that. Even though I've never done that, I was gonna dress up as Vegeta
Hmm.
for Comic Con last year, but I never got the little pauldron
Yeah,
um,
it's hard to find that, I guess. It's
outfit made.
it's
I was gonna make
crazy.
it because it was gonna be a lot cheaper than buying one, clearly
Oh
because
yeah.
they were really expensive. But
Jumping from that though, I can't the way I kind of describe the furry community a little bit, it's kind of like if arts and crafts went rampant
yeah,
and decided to turn into its own
do
community,
your
but based
entire
off
body as an arts and craft. Yeah.
animal people. It's like, yeah, let's just make giant suits that based off our own characters.
Now,
We're not gonna make other cosplay
have you
stuff.
worn one? I'd imagine, yeah, right.
I okay, so I had a partial suit, which is like just the head, and it's
Okay.
interesting.
How does that
It's
work?
not my own
Is it
character.
is
It's
it too big or?
not really. It's kind of like it's just kind of like putting the cart before the horse a little bit because there's the whole rest of the furry community stuff. But like, it's kind of like a regular like mascot type head if anyone's ever worn that, but more high quality. Like the vision is honestly not great. You can't really hear too well, but it's kind of an interesting experience because you're like you can be very animated.
Mhm.
And it's one of those cases of you kind of have to learn to talk with your body a little bit more than anything else because you notice like certain small things and you honestly kind of like inherit some certain like basic character traits depending on like what costume you're wearing, like how you envision the character, you change your walk a little bit, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And it's almost like a bit, I wouldn't say it's like a magic sort of transformation type of thing. It's a little bit like you're playing a character, but you're playing your own kind of character.
I should say
Like it's
also
not from a TV show.
when we mention Husky, we're talking about Mark Barks for any guys
Oh
in
yeah,
the
Mark's Sparks. He's a good guy.
furry fandom. I've always known him as Husky, and then one day he
Oh
was
yeah.
like, "Yo, I got a YouTube channel." I was like, "Cool." I was like, "I got one too," and then he shows me. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yo, dude!" I was like, "Oh, this is crazy." I was like, "You got a little following, dude, and you're doing great." I was like, I see why you wouldn't want to combine, keep the two interests away from each other. Because I don't know how well they'd mesh together. As you see here on my channel, it's just a free for all. It's a little bit of everything. It's one. It's like it is a
Yeah.
melting pot. I mix like
You,
an
you
American,
get
all
you
that.
get furries that are interested in like Star Wars. You get furries that are interested in
Yeah,
40k. Fun enough is actually another big one. 40k is the one that even like though I'm interested in it, I kind of look at it as like that's a strange kind of mix of hobbies. You
hmm
you wouldn't think they would mix together very well, but they do. And you see, even at furry conventions, a lot of people will cosplay as different stuff, and especially like you'll see people who are like Imperial Guard or Sisters of Battle or like other stuff related. And I'm like, wow, that's actually really cool.
And to take it to that, like I see Husky, he has a full suit, I guess you would say, right? Because it's like it looks like top to bottom,
Yeah,
right?
it's a full.
And when you say partial, I kind of wonder. I kind of wonder just how that works too, because like we know Iz is a small dude, but he's tall. So like I just imagine like this tall, skinny dude running around. And he's got like just a big old, kind of like a bobblehead essentially. And I'm kind of
That's a
like,
little bit like
I was
that.
like, does it get warm? Like, is it a little hot? You know,
Oh yeah, no,
like
it's
are you just like dragging your head down the entire time? So I'm kind of like,
nah,
but then you see
you'd be
Husky, and
surprised. You'd be
he's just really cool. He's got like a he's over there looking like gangster. He's like got like a leather jacket, you
Actually, that's
know.
more of like the partial type of thing because his okay, so there's Mark Sparks or Husky
Yeah.
who has like I think it's technically a partial because with the partials you can wear like a like clothes and stuff on top of it. You can do it with a full as well, but you have to like get like several sizes up on it. But like with a partial, you can technically wear your own clothes, and often it'll be like sleeves and stuff will be like kind of sized to you because every single like fursuit and stuff like that, even if it's like a partial and stuff, will have like their own standard size. And it's like even if you're gonna get like say the big one that's like the full suit, you actually have to go and like either get measured by the person making it because all these are like homemade and stuff, and like they're made by like individual craftspeople, which is why they're so damn expensive.
Like
People
what would you give a
say,
price on it for people like me who
oh god,
I've only seen imagery of like I guess we can shout out Gers, right? She does a lot of
yeah.
I don't know. Do you know her
She
thing?
does a lot of art stuff, and
Just like
she
give her free
well, she does a
publicity
lot.
now and be like, yo, go to her.
Yeah,
Her stuff's
yeah,
really
go to her.
cool.
Her art's good. She does like a lot of drawings,
And I guess
digital,
it's
and like
justifiable
yeah.
too, at
Oh yeah,
least for
no,
your
like
community. You know, for pricing with
yeah.
all that, but I guess I don't even know what you would guess just
For
Gers, right, to
okay,
find you,
so yeah,
but
Gers.
give like some ideas on like
Gers
some
is a, yeah.
pricings and
Oh,
stuff
like
like drawings and like the full versus the partial on the pricings because I remember the first time I saw that I was like. I was looking. I was like, "There goes the Domino's fund," you
oh
know.
yeah.
I was like, "Hey, it's just draw me as a sloth or something."
Oh yeah, no, it can get kind of expensive because it's all about like how much time someone has spent like doing art and like what their teaching is and like what stage they're kind of at with their art. Like there's a really popular furry artist. I think it's Miles DF. It's kind of a bit of a meme at this point, to be honest, because of like how expensive some of his art gets. But it's justified because of the quality and the time he puts into it, and the fact that he can actually. I think it's a he. I say he, but I could be wrong. But it's the sort of quality that they have where it's like they can pump out something fairly fast, but also like the detailing's really good and like they get everything right. They do everything you ask for and they get it in a timely fashion. But
Mhm.
some of these auctions can be like upwards of $1,000 depending on the piece of art,
And that's all
and that's a
digital.
drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a digital drawing. For like the fursuits and stuff, it's not unreasonable to say like 2K for a full suit, like the hands, the head, like the
Yeah.
body suit and everything like that. Because not only do you have to make something that's custom measured and get all the materials for it and spend all the labor to put it together, but you also need to size it to the person and make adjustments and do all that stuff depending. And often a lot of like makers, like people who make these fursuits, will also do all the repairs on it and stuff if you send it back out to them. So it's something that like they know how to do, and like you don't necessarily have to learn yourself. So it's like, okay, not only am I going to cover you for like making the suit itself, I'm also going to do all the repairs, do this, do that, and say like this character belongs to you, da 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 da, and like give you accessories and all that stuff. So like people have like fake eyelids and stuff and things like that.
Now this might be more of a Mark question, a Husky question, because he's got the full suit. Because you said you've never worn a full suit, right?
Yeah, not a full. Yeah.
But I mean, maybe you might know this answer. But this is like for everybody like me who's just kind of curious. All right, for the full suit, what's the cooling like? Is there because it's a lot of fur, right? So
Oh yeah, no, it gets hot like there. From all the friends I've known who do go full suiting,
Yeah.
there's a few of them. The best way to describe it is you're wearing around a 10 or so pound, maybe more, rug all day. And you're running around a very large area because conventions usually take place in like hotels and like, big areas like that in actual convention centers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few different types of cooling that are kind of interesting. Like everyone will usually have like, for example, like a sort of sports bodysuit kind of thing for like, like cooling so your like body can breathe. That's the one big thing. And then some people will have, like, depending on the complexity of the suit, they will either have fans built into the suit itself, which is kind of a weird thing, because, like, technically you could add more weight with that, but also it would cool you off because you have fans running in it, and you're bringing in more air. Some people have, like, fans that you kind of stick in the mouth of the head or whatever it is, because, like, again, it's a big kind of mascot head-looking thing that blows air from outside to inside, so they have, like, a little personal cooler thing. Other people have, like, cooling vests, which are like a vest you put on that you like either stick ice packs or something else into that keeps you cool while you're running around. Yeah, and there's a few different solutions for it, and it really depends on how you build the suit and like what you do. And it's all down to
how crazy you want to get with it. Yeah.
How crazy do you want to go with it? What's your personal preference for it? But yeah, it gets pretty wild because people will go like either very simplistic and go like, I just want to like have like a fox, or like I just want to have this character. And then there's like the proto-gen, which are like a cyborg alien like kind of drone race effectively that has detachable body parts so, and space travel better. And it's like people go pretty crazy with it.
What is... I'm just gonna guess on like yours. I'm going to guess on yours, because we got the picture pulled up on the podcast. And if you're watching this, you probably know who Mark Barks is. You're going to give me some names of some furries, and I'll tell you what I think they're in wrestling we call it a gimmick. All right, well, their persona, even deeper than the fursuit. Like what is the story behind it? So, for Husky, I always see him as like the biker badass with a babe, I always see that as like his, because I always see him with a leather jacket, so I'm like, like he's got to be like the alpha.
You're not far off. You're not far off
right
on that one, but Mark really is like a cool guy. Like he's very chill and like, and he's nice.
Well, yeah, we've been hanging out with him for longest time, and
he has
he's never given off that bow down to me. Yeah. He's a chill dude. Like I would totally go to bat and be like, Husky or / Mark Barks, or you want to call him, chill dude. Like he'd never be like, the bow down to me, king of the furries, anything like that. It was just kind of like an ease, like kind of, and I understand why. Like, jumping in, being like, yo, be like, I'm a furry, be like, some people might automatically hate you. Because we've seen that in this little community we're with. And then you'll see some people who are like, I have no idea what that is. You have some people who might be scared, and you have some people who might be cool. So am I too, And I was more of the, all right, I was like I'm Bolts. I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm Bolts. But
I kind of blame it partially on other parts of the community as well, because it's a weird thing as well, where it's like, you kind of get some members of the furry community that are really like outspoken about it, and like some of them are like just enthusiastic about it, but it's enthusiastic to the point where it's like, okay, maybe you should be a bit less about it.
Yeah,
it's like we don't.
I think that's every community too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it is every community, but like, yeah,
I've heard some crazy stories.
From a little bit. There's a lot of them.
From the dude who did a thing with the animal, I guess Furries for Christ or something, who like, I guess were pushing religion down someone's throat, and I'm all about Jesus. He's cool. But I don't like people shoving their beliefs.
He's a cool guy.
He's the best. But I don't like people shoving religion down people's throats because, especially for myself, I find more of people you deal with, the most problems, are people like you, but are on an extreme level,
Oh, yeah.
So...
It's always the loudest minority that causes problems.
So I imagine,
and it's even, it's the same in and out of the community as well, because you get people who are, like, very, like, who are unfortunately jerks or assholes, if I could say that.
Yeah, I'd imagine that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
already
you say.
said Billy Badass and all
Oh
that,
yeah,
so I was
true.
like, yeah, it's fair game now. So I can't be like language, But
Yeah, it's
I'd
like, oh
imagine with
no,
Husky, he probably deals with furries, but on an extreme level, just as I deal with, other YouTubers or, mod makers in the community, but on an extreme level. So it's like, there's
yeah,
always someone who's doing the same thing as you, but they take it a little bit further, and they don't have that. You have to have someone check yourself. You always
yeah.
gotta have that person to be like, all right, hey, let's step back, let's kind of see, I think we're borderlining. All right, we're gonna be the
I feel
extreme
like
ones.
you need to also have someone to sit there like every once in a while and like turn to you and be like, don't be stupid. Like
Yeah,
you need to
exactly.
have that guy that's gonna turn to you if you're doing something stupid. And be like, don't be an asshole. You're doing something dumb. Please stop.
Yeah,
Don't do that. Don't.
I gotta segue back to, because I know people are probably really wanting to see
Yeah.
my thoughts on your fursona, I guess you would say.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's funny. So one day, I think when I do the podcast with Mark, I'll make that the thumbnail is the one that is drew me, because it was really nice, really
Yeah.
humble. It was a sloth. It was like, how do
It
I
is
draw,
great
or
art.
something weird. Yeah, it's a spiky haired sloth, which I don't have spiky hair, so I don't know where these drawings of me with spiky hair come to. Or the one that I'm using now is like me with a goatee, and I have a big old beard now, but um, it's whatever. I think it has a lightning bolt too on
Yeah.
the sloth, but that is my quote unquote 81st Dark Core fursona, or ISR fursona, or Lightning, or whatever you want to call it. But
Uh,
so I see your guy, and it's funny because I run a thing called the Interstellar Regulars, intergalactic and all that, mercs and all that. But I think you might have me beat, because I'm looking at this, and it's gotta be like, um, it's kind of like a Ghostbusters meets uh, oh shoot, it's gonna make me go crazy. I can't remember that game. It was a space game, but you were
oh,
in the snow. They made two of them. They might have made a
Lost
third.
Planet. Is it
Lost
Lost
Planet
Planet?
2. Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. It's kind of like a Lost Planet vibe. Um, Dang, I've only played the
I
I've
was gonna
played the
say,
first one, but then I played a beta or demo of the second one on
yeah.
360 or something, or
I
it was really
enjoyed
good.
Lost Planet when I went through it. It was neat. But funny you
Yeah.
should mention the snow part of it because the reason that like I have my character done up like that because he doesn't always look like that. But I went to like there was a convention like it's still on the biggest furry one of the biggest I say I think it's like second biggest is Anthrocon in Pittsburgh. So one of their themes that they had was movie monsters. So that drawing right there is actually based off of The Thing, as like the main character Mac, who has like the flamethrower and is going through the whole time because I'm like a
All
big
right.
like horror movie fan and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
thought, hey, that would be a good idea to do. So I contact this one artist I'm talking about to for a bit, and I go, hey, can you do me up like the main character from that? And give me like a badge, which is something you can kind of like it's basically a wearable piece of art. It's just like a picture in lamination, so you can walk around with it, and be like, hey, this is me, kind of thing. So I get it done, and it honestly just looks amazing, and I love it because it kind of feel like it sticks with the character's personality as well because he's kind of like that, like a little bit of that cool but like a hothead kind of thing when things go wrong because that's definitely me, honestly.
Yeah,
It's like
that
when
definitely
the plan's
tonight.
going
For
well,
those
when the
that don't know,
plan's
yeah,
going well, I'm like, okay,
understandable.
everything's fine, and like, yeah, everything's like thing. But like when everything goes to shit, it's like, okay, time to start yelling.
Everything's on
I'm
fire
like,
around you. You're like,
"Yes."
screw it, I'm on fire too.
It's like, well, time to
What
burn
made
it all
you?
down.
I feel like this is probably important. Like Huskies is more of just the plain like white Arctic wolf kind of look, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but
Yeah.
like I kind of find like this is probably interesting. Like what made you do like the color scheme on it with like I call it a like one of those like Captain America popsicles,
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit. Like
that's kind of what it
it's a
looks
little
like.
bit like that. I'll be honest. Yeah. I think it was one of those things because my character is actually like a mix of two like different things. It's a fox and a wolf mixed together, specifically a red fox and like a kind of like timber wolf, I guess
So
it
are
would
there
be.
more than just like? It seems like it's mostly just like foxes and wolves. Are there more than that?
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of different people who do different things. Those are like the common ones because a lot of people go, oh, I want to be this
Well,
because
so
that
how
matches
so
their
how much
personality.
how much to be the
Yeah.
first sloth? All right, how much how much are we
Oh.
talking? How much
I,
commission
hmm.
money would need a job? Like that's probably
It
you
depends
know
on the drawing, honestly. I've
no,
had
I'm talking
commissions
about a full
go,
suit, like
oh, a
like
full
I
suit,
want
Jesus.
a fig leaf branch and everything. I'll meet in the middle. Like if we can't do the sloth, I'll
It's
do
like,
the turtle from Kung Fu Panda. Yeah, I think
I
that'll
think the worst part is I think someone else actually has you beat because I remember at one
on the
point
sloth.
seeing a sloth suit. Yeah. And the
Dang
other
it.
see the part of what's fun about the whole furry stuff is that they actually played it perfectly
Yeah.
because you see everyone else walking at normal speed and they're actually doing like the slow thing from Zootopia or like other movies where they just kind of like slowly are walking
He
in rhythm
never
and
gets
it's like this
anywhere.
like
You guys
yeah, he like
have
never
like an
gets anywhere. It's like
intercom, be like, we don't like all people who want to meet Mark Barks to line up on the left, and you just have this one guy taking his time and
trying to get
just
to the line and
just
all of a
all the way.
sudden it's
Everybody
like
like
oh
the
god.
line's going like so slow because he's the very first person in line somehow.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
great. Shout out to that guy. I don't know who you
yeah,
are, but
shit.
you are doing
Yeah.
God's work. I hope Husky comes
Yeah,
back
same.
from his con tonight. I don't. Do you know the name of it, or
Oh, he's actually at an anime con. He's at
oh,
Anime Milwaukee, I think. Actually,
is
it's
he showing
him.
up as
Yeah.
his?
Oh yeah. So
I don't know. Is he
one
called
of
Husky there, or is it just Mark Barks?
it's
Or
Mark Sparks. Sometimes it's Husky. It's mostly Mark
I feel like I'm
Sparks
saying that right.
for
Is
the
it
most part.
Marks Barks?
Yeah, yeah. It's Mark's
Yeah,
Barks, like as in Mark's. Yeah, that kind of thing.
like plural.
But
Yeah.
yeah, plural. It's weird. So yeah, they're actually there with two of our other friends at an anime con because
Mhm.
Majira, he's like a big furry
Yeah,
YouTuber.
this
Like
is the one I
I
hear a
think
lot
he's
about. How do you spell that? And I'll give my.
It's Majira if I remember correctly. Let me check it
That's a
because
cool
it's like
spelling.
one. It's one M
Strawberry?
right now.
Is your
Yeah,
strawberry?
Majira Strawberry. He's like the big furry YouTuber.
Um,
He's a really cool guy.
I mean, I
Like
can't
he's
say
very cool
anything.
around.
It doesn't look like you know, like a
Yeah.
Billy Badass biker or a
Oh yeah.
Lost
No.
Planet 2 Flame Trooper. It just kind of just seems like a kind of like a teenager fox with the
Yeah. Exactly.
bandana from is it Pokemon Ranger? I'm trying to think. There's a Pokemon game where you had like a bandana, but that's
Yeah.
kind of what I
There's
think
one
it
like
is.
that.
It
Yeah.
looks interesting.
It
It's
varies for
simplistic. It's
people.
nice.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
um,
Mhm.
any other
Uh,
ones besides? Actually, it's
let
funny
me
because I
think.
see Gurse on here. I
Oh
scroll
yeah.
down on the DeviantArt for Gurse, so it wouldn't be too hard to find
Yeah,
Gurse for
there's
the shout
Gurs.
out. But
There's Kiwi Fox as well. He's a good
all right,
friend
is
of
it just
ours.
normal
Who's it? Yeah,
Kiwi?
Kiwi
Someone's gonna
Space Fox. He's a
timestamp this, and
green one.
they're gonna stand.
Someone's gonna be like, "Hey, wait a second."
They're gonna be like,
It's like
so
someone's gonna send a video to Kiwi and be like, "Hi, Kiwi."
we had our buddy who was nothing about furries, kind of just say like
Yeah,
what he thought about their gimmicks,
yeah,
their personas. I don't know what you'd call it.
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like what Kiwi Fox and Majir Strawberry. What those are some names. Like
Oh yeah.
Mark kept it pretty simple with the Mark Sparks, but they went. I feel like they went all out on their names. Like,
Well, I go
um,
by also like I go by Rocker as a short form on
yeah,
StarSim because I like to have like I'd say the funny thing is it has to do with Arma radio stuff. Funnily enough, because at
yeah,
first I was like, I'm gonna go with like something a bit more complicated, just say the full thing. And I just thought about
Rocker
it. I'm like,
Fox.
you have yeah Rocker Fox I suppose, but like you have like 30 people on radio. They're
Yeah,
all trying to call in different stuff by like different names. I'm like that extra that
yeah.
extra word is gonna fuck people up.
I'm so
It's
lame
gonna
because
be like
I took my last name, but I cut off the RY. So
yeah.
like it's you know I kept it really simple too. Um, but with Kiwi Fox, I'd say yeah, they're very simplistic design. I like the green. I'm a big fan
Yeah.
of the green look. I think this
So
green is more like lime green.
yeah,
Um,
A little bit.
So I don't know. I think it's more like screaming right at you.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that.
But I like
He's
the
a very
color.
neon boy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever gonna hear this like podcast. But he's gonna be like, "Rocker, I'm gonna beat you up."
I don't know the gimmick though, like, cause I
Like,
feel
don't threaten
like
me with good time.
I feel like Majira and Kiwi, they'd just be like, the two buddies that hang out and play
kinda.
the entirety of the Halo 3 campaign, one
They
weekend.
actually
Like that's
they
all I can
play
really
the
think
Portal.
about.
They're kind of like that because they're actually roommates. But so the thing is, right? They actually played Portal 2 together, and that was funny to see.
Yeah, like the entirety of it.
Oh yeah, like the entirety of the Portal 2 co-op. I think they did it in two separate streams, and only one of them's up because, well, YouTube and being a stink about copyright and
Yeah.
stuff. But not everyone has like a super complex gimmick and stuff, but a lot of people just do various things.
I
Like
don't
the
know.
funny thing about
I think we need more gimmicks, dude. I think we need to
Yeah, we
pump
do.
it up. I think as as a fan of professional wrestling, all the gimmicks, and I can tell you, like, we got like, everyone knows the Undertaker. He's like a dead man. He shows up, once a year and beats everybody. Kane, who's like the devil's favorite demon, but in real life he's a mayor of Knoxville County in Tennessee. And John Cena never loses. Good Boy Scout, and like, so we've got some crazy gimmicks. So I think like we could bump it up some more. We could get get some like ridiculous storylines.
Oh,
And,
I'm thinking of like these are just the guys that I know, but then there's also other guys like
we need the
there's Captain
Undertaker
Bones, who
of
was
the furry community.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
talking
gosh,
like
who would they
like a
be?
black robe, and a Texan cowboy hat, all black, except for like the white in the chest probably, and they come around once a year to a con, and they're like the biggest attraction, and that's it.
Yeah.
And they got to be like one of the oldest like members. Maybe they could be like Husky's like
I mean, that's
evolution.
kind of. I'd say the funny thing is, one of the bigger furries in the community being Uncle Kage, because he gets that name because he's like fairly old and he's like he's
He's like
blind, so he
Naruto?
kind of has like a thing going. No. Like he is actually okay. So in real life, he's like a scientist, like a chemist. But like at a FurryCon, he kind of just comes and like gets on stage and tells story, and his persona is a cockroach. Funnily enough.
I'll give the furry community this as a person who's kind of looking out from the outside and just kind of seeing what's going on and doesn't really understand it too much, but kind of just goes with the flow because
Yeah.
it's what other people like, enjoy, and it doesn't hurt me. It
Yeah.
I
pretty
don't
much.
have no
It's-
money. I couldn't get into it. Yeah, so I got other
Technically, yeah.
legitimate things going on, but yeah, I think where a lot of people would be like, "Oh, this is stupid. This is dumb." There's still a lot of really smart people in the community, and without like saying everything about Husky, just from knowing him and like what he does and his real job, and with you describing like the scientist, there's a lot of smart.
Oh, yeah.
Even yourself, clearly,
'Cause
putting you
it's-
over, but there's a lot
Yeah,
of smart people, but there's also a lot of dumb people, as with every
Yeah, no,
community.
it
I mean,
happens.
yeah, you get a mix of like the really good
People
ones, and then you
well,
get some
I'd
like
say there are some people who like you have a lot of really smart people who can hold a steady job and who do like a lot of stuff, and like people who are great content creators and stuff, and like they're all great people and they're all fun to hang around, and like really they're just doing it because it's their hobby. They just enjoy talking to people about it and just hanging out making stuff. And then you have people who are kind of like that, like heavy like party hard people as well, which like some communities get, where it's like their big problem is they indulge too much, because our community is like one of that's really like we like to party, and that's about like the big thing with it. We kind of like to live life in the moment, and that results in some very
yeah,
fun things happening, including even myself, where it's like I've done some things where I'm like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have drank that much that night. Like,
yeah.
your hotel's 3 blocks away. It's 5 in the morning on the first night of the con, and you've already sat there drinking with a few people in your own hotel, and you're like, I don't want to walk because it's raining, so you kind of pass out in the chair, and you're like, yeah, this will do for now. Then you wake up and you're like, oh, that's the thing that happened.
What's the weirdest flex in the community? So like, for instance, to bring it back to Arma, of course, clearly, a big flex is like, oh, I got all these members, or we've been around for this long, or like we're this canon unit, just some weird flexes. And in reality, it doesn't matter because we all are doing the same nerdy hobby. Just some people are a little bit better than others at the game, or getting a group together. But
Yeah.
just like in there, some people are probably more humble or more experienced, and responsible adults. I don't know, but what's a weird flex you've seen? Like, I don't know how to describe it,
Yeah.
but
Two weird flexes I've seen. One of them was from an Australian furry who had a lot of money, and he was making a weird flex about like the cost of a fursuit. Because I think he made this statement one time where it's like, oh, if your fursuit's not like over a certain amount of money, that's not worth looking at, or like some weird stuff. Like it wasn't even about craftsmanship. It was literally down to if it doesn't cost this much, then it's not like a good fursuit. And it's like that's great and all, but I've seen people do like a lot of good, like a lot of great design with like not like putting too much cost into it because they either made it themselves or they found the right maker. Like mind you, it's still kind of expensive, but this person like made a statement like if it doesn't cost $5,000 or something, it's not worth wearing or worth having or worth getting. So that was a pretty weird flex. The other one is kind of like Twitter clout and Twitter followers. It's like, I have this many people follow me. So again, it's the numbers game. It's like, how many people do you have watching your stuff? How many people do you have subscribed to Patreon? What videos do you do? Like, all that kind of, like, crap. It's like, no one really cares for the most part. It's just people are, like, want to, like, hang out and have fun at a convention and, like, talk to each other and, like, share interests. Because there's a lot of, like, cross interests in the furry community, especially with, like, gaming and stuff like that. Because like people will play games that are like because of it's like a furry and like there's like characters like that, like WoW's a big one like that, or people will just play games because like, hey, I want to find someone who isn't gonna like freak out at me because of this, because we like art. And honestly, some kind of weird stuff, but that happens. You get it in every community, like even at the anime community. But like it's a case of it's just a place to like find common ground and share interests and like share interest in like creating something that's your own, I guess. Because even if like you don't draw it yourself, even if you don't write it yourself, it's something you came up with. Like like Rocker Fox, that whole persona, like I guess the fursona, but like it's also like a persona in the traditional sense, because since it's not totally me. It's not entirely how I act. It's like there are some things that don't line up perfectly, but it's still enjoyable to kind of wear that around.
Yeah, you're not, 24/7 the character has.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how people could do that, honestly. Like I feel like that would kind of drive you crazy. But
it's almost like it's an old thing with like drama. I think it was Marcel Marceau, one of the best mimes in history. And people would always come up to him and ask him to do, like, this, that, and the other thing. And you'd have to put on, like, that character constantly and do mime. And, like, if I remember the story correctly, it slowly kind of drove him a bit nuts because it was kind of like he liked doing it, but he didn't like doing it all the time. It was really intensive. Like, that stuff, like, the stuff he was doing, like, there's a famous one that he would do. He would kind of lean on, like, nothing. He'd engage his whole body and act like he was leaning up against like a fireplace when there was nothing there. And people would want to see that stuff like all the time. And eventually it just tired him out. He's like, look, I'm not that character all the time. I need time to like kind of rest and recuperate.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit of a parallel with just doing stuff in general, even like in Star Sim, for example. It's like people get burnt out on things, man. Like you can't ask for like someone's attention 100% of the time because they gotta eventually like take a break from it. They gotta like like power down. They gotta turn off a bit.
I can definitely get down to that. I can definitely agree with you on that one a lot. It's funny because as we were speaking, I take back what I said about your Lost Planet 2 inspired, fursona.
Yeah.
I think you remind me more of the fox from the Nintendo Switch game I play. You might have heard of it. Ultimate Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Oh yeah, that game. Like I heard
the first ever.
It's pretty popular.
They got a character on there. I think he's the guy who's like, do a barrel roll. I think he's that guy, the fox.
Yeah, that
It
guy
reminds me a
there,
bit
I
of
think.
him.
Yeah, a
I
little bit.
don't know, just a little bit. He always
Yeah.
kicks my butt. I'm not good at Smash. It's just my first Smash
Yeah.
game. You
I'll be
guys,
honest, like for me as well, it's like I've played mostly on PC for a long time, so that's kind of like an alien thing to me. Like I'll play it if friends are playing it, but
Mhm.
it's a case of like I kind of play an odd assortment of games now that I really look back at it because there's Arma 3, there's Warframe, for like the odd time. There's
Mhm.
Command and Conquer, which like no one really plays anymore, and a lot of people are like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh
It's a
gosh,
it's
I
a
didn't know what you
great
knew."
strategy game.
Oh yeah,
Tiberian Wars and all that.
oh
Red
yeah.
Alert three, or is it just Red Alert?
Three was okay.
Yeah.
There. Okay, so my thing is, I kind of look at it like this.
Mhm.
Every Command and Conquer from like the first one to Tiberium Wars were great, including the expansion for Tiberium Wars, Kane's Wrath. I feel like the wheels started to kind of fall off around Red Alert 3, but that's because of like all the stuff that was happening with EA at the time. And how
Yeah.
they were trying really hard to be like, we want to get into the monetization thing, and we want to be an esport, and we want to do this, and like they didn't really understand, again, putting like the cart before the horse again, that you need to make a great game to build an esport around. You need to have that kind of like essence of it. Go, look, we need to build like the foundation before we just jump straight into going and we're an esport. And that's kind of what ended up tanking the series, at least in my opinion. As well as them like getting rid of a few key people, like them losing like the guys that are currently, I think, at Petroglyph, if I remember the company who did also Empire at War and a few other RTS games that are really great. Like it's crazy to see the evolution of something like over, well, actually over a decade now. I'm thinking about it because they had like the first decade, and then that went to 2004, 2005. I think I gotta look that up again.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of when the last Command and Conquer came out.
What do you think it is about Command and Conquer that I don't know, kind of sets it apart from like modern day strategy games? I'm trying to think of best games to compare it that are out recently. The only one that comes to my mind honestly is Halo
Yeah.
Wars 2, because everything else, yeah, like
Yeah.
Total War and like
Yeah,
Civilization,
like even
it's
Company
more,
Heroes gets more
yeah,
complicated.
yeah, it's
I feel like
or
a
Men of
good
War.
base point, a good base point to me would be like it's kind of like old StarCraft, like StarCraft One a little bit because like
I've actually never played
yeah,
StarCraft. It's one of those
wow,
games
really,
kind of like Diablo. Like I played Diablo once at a
yeah,
friend's house, because her dad had the game. It was way back when I lived in West Virginia and all that. I was much younger. I don't think I was even in middle school at the time when I was, played Diablo for a hot second. But I remember StarCraft would be another game where I'd go to Walmart and I'd see it in the shelves and I'd be like, this is a pretty cool game, but I didn't have a gaming PC at the time, so I think there was definitely a weird time of PC gaming wasn't as big, so a lot of the games were like, oh,
oh,
they're
definitely.
they're just not good, or they're on console already. So now it's kind of more
Also,
fair game between
also with
everything.
PC gaming back then, it was kind of like the Wild West. If you'd get something and like, is it actually going to work? Is it actually going to run?
Yeah, is it gonna work? And are
Because
you gonna have to pay like a subscription purchase that will make you poor? And
all that, or even better than before that, it was a case of it was back when like the internet was not the greatest like thing. So like getting like a one, God, we're so spoiled now. You don't even understand.
oh
It's
yeah,
like you're downloading Metro Exodus right now, right?
I'm
It's
already
like
done,
it's that
bro.
big
Like
yeah, you're
literally,
already
I
done. That's
think
like
we
50 gigabytes.
I
Yeah.
think it was like, what was it? I think it was 12 o'clock at midnight. I checked my
Yeah.
emails, and I'll talk more about this in Metro, but definitely shout out to Epic Games. And I know I've been kind of like skeptical on kind of like how they'll fare, because they've been very more
Yeah.
competitive, it seems, with Steam. And I think they should just appreciate being their own entity and build up their reputation with their market, because I love the way they're building up their reputation with content creators, even as small as I am. They treat me like a king, and I'm like, honestly, like the what is it, the Prince and the Pauper right now,
Oh
because I'm like barely 2K subs and all that, and it's just they treat me so nice. And I've never played a Metro game, so and to literally check that and download it in less than an hour, and it's like 60 gigabytes,
yeah.
and
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, that is nice, because I remember a
Oh
good
god.
time when I'd be like, especially this is definitely more of a console problem when the new consoles came out, because back then, you know, we were spoiled with 360 and all that, where you just put a disc in. You know, I got Mortal Kombat 9 at a midnight release, put it in and played it.
Yeah.
But then, like, you know, 10 came out and I had to go put it in the Xbox and I had to wait like 2 hours to update, and it wasn't the best. So, like, but even before that, you know, downloading something off the computer would be like 10 years, you know.
I remember looking at one point, like, I don't remember what game it was. It might have actually been Command and Conquer 3 or something. But, like, I remember I opened it up one time, so like, it was when patching started to become more popular. So it's like, hey, there's a patch to fix this thing. I was like, okay.
And you
cool.
got all the little, like,
I opened
loading
it.
screens, and it's like 80
No, but
different
I go to
still
download
images.
it. Yeah, I go to download it too, and I'm like, Jesus, it's 150 megabytes. Are you kidding me? How am I going to download all this in, like, today? Come
I
on.
was
get
like, I
outta
don't have
here.
enough space on my 500 megabyte hard drive, you know.
It's like, I don't have blazing fast.
Now we got like
What the
now we
hell
got
is
like
this?
10 terabytes and all that craziness.
Yeah,
Goodness, like,
it's crazy, yeah.
all right. As we start wrapping up here, we gotta do one last thing, and we gotta do some fur slang. All right, so you're gonna give me some fur slang that's kind of popular in the community, and I'm gonna guess what they are, and you're gonna tell me why I'm wrong. if there are really that many.
It's hard to think of really furry slang, actually. That's the funny part. Because, like, let me just think about it. Hold on.
All right.
Wow, I am drawing a complete blank. I don't know if it's just, like, 1:30 a.m. time, and that's why I'm drawing
That
a
could
blank.
be it,
It's,
yeah.
like, one of those things on the pods. Because, it's one of those weird things.
I'm just gonna get a whole bunch of people in with their like fursuits and their profile picture, and they're gonna be like, "Yo, why didn't you mention XYZ?" And like,
Yeah, no, it's going to be exactly that. And it'll be like, I'll
Husky's
feel
gonna
stupid
comment.
later, 'cause-
He's gonna be like,
No, I'm gonna.
"We're revoking you."
I'll tell you exactly what's gonna happen. 'Cause This
Yeah.
happens to me before, where it's like literally, you're gonna turn the podcast off. We're gonna stop recording.
And then you're gonna be like,
I'm gonna
"Oh,
be sitting there, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that. And I'll be like, yeah, okay. I'm actually wait. I can think of a few.
all right,
So a fur bowl.
a fur bowl."
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that's what you call your partial if it's just the top head. I'm gonna guess that's my guess.
No, really far off. It's actually it's a furry meeting where it's like. Actually, here's a better one.
So like
What's
a Super
furry?
Bowl, but for
No. Like it's actually smaller than a con. Like it's usually like local.
all right.
So you'll get like maybe like 10, 20 people, sometimes more, to like show up.
Yeah, everyone
They
shows
can
up,
range
brings
up.
some chips and dip and some
Yeah, kind of like that.
milk.
But
I
then
don't know.
bring snacks or like hang out. Usually at like it's like furry bowling basically.
There you go.
Let me think. What's a handler?
A handler?
Yeah, handler.
Oh man. I'm guessing that's the guy at the con who has to like pull security.
You're kind of close to that. Basically, it's someone who helps someone who's like newer. Both people who are newer to doing fursuiting and people who like, have been fursuiting for a while, like need help. They usually will like follow them around and like help them with doors or sometimes.
Does
carry
that
stuff for them.
does that mean that I'm a handler of Star Sim?
I guess
Or
so.
who was it?
feel
Fitz
like-
tonight. They were, or I don't know if it was Fitz or Charger. They were like, Patches was like, "Go take care of Cadet
Yeah.
Influenza or whatever his name
Which is
was."
like cadets. Like I can't see out of the cadet helmet. Help! I'm like I can't see. So you're trying to lead them around. You're showing them the doors. You're opening stuff up for them. It's like, oh, here's your kit. It's like,
the
how do I pick
handler
this
Fitz.
up?
Oh man.
Oh Jesus.
Oh man. So, all right, that's a nice one, you know.
Yeah.
Designated handlers.
Oh yeah. Okay, here's a good one. Headless lounge.
Headless lounge.
Yeah.
I'm guessing those are the furries that end up a little too tipsy, you know. So.
No. You're kind not exactly. That one's kind of far off, but basically
Alright.
it's like where people who are suiting and like doing the big mascot animal thing, they kind of go back to there to like get water and stuff, and like take the head off to cool off. Because if you take the head off in the middle of the con floor, you're breaking the magic. That's a
Oh
big
dang!
no-no.
Is that just like do they like get taken to a corner and beat up? Like,
It's like the furry Gestapo shows up. It's like, oh, you're coming with
I
us.
want to see.
You're
This is
going. You're gonna
probably
get beat
this has
up
probably
now.
been done before because
Broke the law.
it's just a thing where if it hasn't been done yet, I'm surprised. I
Yeah.
want to see like a dude in a furry outfit, but he's got like a mafia style, Chicago mafia suit on, fedora,
Oh, I
everything,
wish I.
and a little Tommy gun toy, which would definitely not be allowed in a con, but
No. Actually, the funny thing is the Tommy gun toy thing. It's funny you should mention that because this has already been done as well. That's the funny thing about the furry community. If you could really think of it, most of it's already been done. But
yeah,
like,
I've seen some of the Star Wars ones that like Husky Post they were
Oh, yeah.
talking about.
yeah, like the funny thing about the Chicago one or like the mobster one is that there was a con theme because a lot of cons will have like themes for all their like beers. So like for example, one of the Anthrocon ones again because I usually go there because it's like close and I can get to Pittsburgh decently easily. Is that they had the Roaring Twenties, which is all based off like that era and stuff. So you had a lot of people dressing up as gangsters and stuff, and like flappers and all kinds of like the classic like dresses and suits and all kinds of stuff. And it was really impressive to see because people would be like, they'd wear these big bulky fursuits, but then also have another suit on top of that and like walk around like that. And I'm like, holy crap, how are you like alive? You must be being cooked since it's like in the middle of summer as well where this convention's happening. It's like, Jesus.
It's got like extra things of like ice packs taped to the side.
Yeah. It's like the pockets are full of ice packs and you're like, welp.
Yeah. Got any other ones you can think of?
I can't really. It's kind of hard. Not that I can really think of. It's gonna be again one of those things where we turn off the podcast and I think, oh, there's like 10 things I can think of.
Yeah,
We need to do this when it's like not 1:30 in the.
that's true. That's usually how things go. It's like, yeah, you want to do that? You want to do this and then play Metro? Yeah.
It's like okay.
So, yeah, that's going on. But that is it's gonna wrap it up here on our little regular talk podcast. Everybody, I'd like to thank Rocker for being my special guest one-on-one today, and I feel like I've been enlightened. I've learned a lot more. Talking to you and learning about the furry community compared to everyone kind of just shouting all at the same time and kind of just getting bits and pieces, both good and bad from different people.
Yeah.
But, for anybody interested in being a part of the community, I would definitely recommend our good buddy Husky, Mark Sparks. Sorry about that one. Someone's gonna light a fire under my butt for that one.
Like, oh,
every time.
He's actually Mark Sparks.
Yeah, Mark Sparks. And no apostrophe, I think.
Yeah,
And,
no apostrophe, it's just a space.
So you guys go yell out at him on his all of his Disney vlogs and say, hey, when are you going to be on a regular talk podcast? But he's a busy man. We love him. He's great. And everybody here in the 81st has a mass and army to overtake Starsim one furry gang at a time. Other than that, have a good night, everybody. And until next time, peace out.